Okay. I know this is a bad take, but let me ask you something. What makes a good game? I asked myself this when making a game of my own, as there isn't really a clear answer to this question. Well, you could say it depends what type it is, but someone pointed out the obvious. A good game has to have good level design, story, music, art, and gameplay. While the latter might seem true and to an extent it is, I generally think this train of thought is incorrect, as it would mean that several games that lack at least one of these qualities would be considered a bad game. I'll use Pokemon Legends Arceus as an example. Its story seems convoluted at first, but gets boring pretty quick, to the point where I just skip all the dialogue and I still don't understand what's happening. Graphics and performance leave a lot to be desired as well, often looking like a Konami game made in 2004. Does this make it a bad game? No, far from it. Many think this is what Pokemon games needed in order to fix its many issues, as it introduced something I think games need in order to be enjoyable. Mental challenge. What do I mean by this? Well, Legends Arceus doesn't have the feature where you can just steamroll the whole game with your starter. In Legends, when fighting a Pokemon or trainer, you're thinking, which style of move should I use? How many turns does my opponent have? What type it is? Do I have a counterplay for this? Oh he has a move I'm weak against. Guess I'll die. I know what you're probably thinking. Isn't that just a game being difficult? Well, kinda. A game that is mentally challenging is difficult, but a difficult game doesn't necessarily need to be mentally challenging. Understood? I'm guessing most of you didn't, so bear with me. I'll explain it later. Now, I do see the value in relaxing games like Animal Crossing, Minecraft, and Stardew Valley. But at the same time, I could have just as easily watched something on YouTube, Netflix, and get the same amount of dopamine I would get from playing Animal Crossing. But I think none proved my case better than Trolley Problem Inc.
Welcome to Trolley Problem Inc., founded to help people travel safely across the nation. All our employees must show 3 core values: responsibility, integrity, and respect. With that in mind, let's start your training.
A game that, while lacking in several areas, still to me was one of the most fun and memorable games I've played in 2022. This could be recency bias, so Editor Chris, what are your thoughts on the game? Yeah, it's alright. Before I dive into the game, I think I should explain what this is. Mental challenge is when a game forces you to think on how you should approach or do something, and general difficulty is when a game is just hard. This can be due to several reasons. Maybe the mechanics are overwhelming, the inputs are annoying, your team is ass, or maybe your opponent is one of the best zoners in the game who for some reason is also the best grappler. Why the fuck? So how does Trolley Problem Inc. factor into this? Well, this game is hard, but not in the conventional manner. It's not an insane boss fight with 3 phases or a level they need precise movement to beat. It's just a question, and you're given 2 possible solutions.
There's a runaway trolley barreling down the railway tracks. On the tracks are 5 people unable to move. You're next to a lever. If you pull this lever, the trolley will switch to a different set of tracks. However, you notice there is a person on the other track. What do you do?
Both being incredibly fucked up, and your task is to determine which one is less fucked, pick it, and suffer the consequences. Questions can range from what I showed before to, there's an atom bomb heading to New York City. You can do nothing or bomb the neighboring city, intercepting the bomb in the process. Both result in catastrophic death, but one is less catastrophic. You'd think a game focused on questioning one's morality with grueling questions would have brilliant writing. But it's quite the opposite. Many take issue with the game's writing, and I do see where they're coming from, with how the game structures itself by making each question more and more difficult to justify. It becomes strenuous to develop a scenario where something like this would happen. Even with these issues mentioned, they still managed to make a fun 3 to 4 hour experience to enjoy with friends, so props on the development team for making a game as engaging as it is. It's only $5 on Steam, so I recommend you get it. With me blabbing on about mental challenge, you'd think I'd be a sucker for stuff like puzzle games, but I'll let this clip speak for itself.
You got this, Christian. I believe in you.
You jinxed it, Josh. Right when you said that. Fuck. I think puzzle games are their own different beast. With games like RPGs and strategy games, the mental challenge comes from deciding what you should do next, how you should build your team, how you should exploit weaknesses in how the formation is, or I honestly don't play RTS games, so I do not know what the fuck I'm talking about, but you can see where I'm coming from. Some puzzle games like Puyo even have a degree of randomness where stuff like pieces or even placements are randomly decided by how you woke up, how you ate, and how you shitted. Many enjoy this type of mental challenge. I applaud them. I would too, but at the same time, I'm not an anarchist. I like a tough game, but I also want to be able to finish it. Now, which type of game can give you a happy medium of both? What game can challenge me not only physically, but mentally as well? What game can be— I think you know where I'm going with this. Ah yes, fighting games. The brainchild of combining humanity's two favorite things: aggravated assault and sexy people. Notorious for their unforgiving difficulty, fighting games are a genre many often avoid, as not only do they force you to be competent with motion inputs and reactions, but on top of that, you have to master more mental stuff, like footsies, oki, frame data, against an opponent who is doing the same thing as well. So I understand when someone says, not my thing. Now, where do I stand? Can you guess? I think reading what your opponent will do next or figuring out setups and getting the optimal combo that you've been labbing forever can be the reason why many people play fighting games in the first place. I think striving to achieve something that might seem impossible at one point can be a great feeling, similar to what you would get if you actually did something productive. Not me though. I play games for the sweet, sweet dopamine rush. That sensation you get from almost achieving your goal but getting it destroyed or taken at the last second. That sensation of being beaten by some unstoppable force and being hopeless to stop it. And I sound like a masochist again. Shut the fuck up. Alright. No, puta!